So I've just started recording. My name is Matt. I'm from Ivy Bridge Group, and today is June 2nd of 2015. I'm recording with Dekai Zhu. And Dekai, can you please tell me what is your American name?
My American name is John.
John. Okay, great. So you prefer to be called John. And then, of course, your first and last Chinese name. Could you please state those for me?
My family name is Zhu, Z-H-U,
Uh-huh.
and my first name is Dekai, D-E-K-A-I.
Okay, great. And can you tell me what grade are you in right now, John?
I am in 8th grade right now.
8th grade. And what grade will you be applying to for next year?
I will become a freshman next year.
Ah, so you want to go into 9th grade. Okay. And John, what is your birth date?
My birthday is on August 30th.
Okay,
August 30th.
August 30th. What's the year for that?
2000.
2000. Okay. And John, have you taken either the SLEP or the TOEFL or the SSAT tests?
I took all three of them already.
Oh, do you happen to remember what your scores were?
For SLAP, I got a 60.
Okay.
For TOEFL, I got a 72.
Okay.
And for SSAT, I got a, I think it's 1,907.
1,907?
Yes.
Okay. And do you happen to know what your GPA is?
Right now, I don't really have my final GPA, but I have my GPA from last year.
Yeah.
My last year GPA was 3.8.
3.8. Ooh, okay. Well, thanks, John. Those are just the preliminary questions for the record. Now we're going to start the actual interview itself. So for my first question is a pretty simple one. Can you tell me what are some of your favorite extracurricular activities at school?
For my favorite extracurricular activity, I think one of my favorite activity is sports. I was trying to play basketball in school, but they won't really require international student for first year. And I hope I can join like a basketball team, and when I became a freshman, because I really want to do sports. And I'm also interested in some of the other American sports like like lacrosse, like baseball.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so why is it that you are so interested in sports?
Oh, because doing sports is really good for my health, and I really love to doing sports. I started to do sports when I came to America. I don't really have time when I was in China.
Oh, you didn't really have the chance to play sports in China?
That's right.
Yeah. So you feel that you have more free time here in the United States?
That's right.
Okay. Can you tell me why you think you have more free time here?
When I was in China, I really need to focus on most of the study, and it's really hard for me. And there's no way to there's no clever way to study, and the only thing I can do is to remember things again and again. But after I came to America, I started to learn a way to study, and I started to learn how to enjoy study, not thinking about it's like a punishment or something.
Oh.
So I started to get more free time to doing activities like doing sports.
That's really interesting. So now wait a minute. So you said that you were actually starting to enjoy your studies. Is that correct?
That's right.
What is it about studying here in the United States that makes it enjoyable for you?
So like the teacher will usually ask for students an idea about different things, especially for social study like American history. But in China, I guess all the things that teacher says is correct. You don't need to ask. The teacher already asks everything, like tell everything to you. So the only thing you need to do is to remember, which I really kind of like, just like a study robot, you know.
Oh. Yeah, that's really interesting. So do you feel that you do a lot more thinking about the answers here in the United States?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How about, well, that leads me into my next question. How about one of your favorite or two of your favorite subjects? What subjects do you particularly enjoy here?
Mm, um, the subject that I'm really good at is math, and I'm really good at math since I was in China, and I really like math. I came to America, and I usually help some of my friends on it when they have problem with it. Yeah,
Why do you think you enjoy math so much?
because math, for me, math is pretty special. You can always use different ways to solve one problem. Not like not like maybe English. Grammar is what it is. You should nothing can really be changed.
Ah, okay. So you enjoy the fact that with math, it's kind of malleable. You can
That's
kind of,
right.
okay. You mentioned that you'd helped out your friends with with trouble when they were working on their math stuff. Can you give me an example of that? Can you think of anything?
Um, so like when I was doing like proving congruent triangle,
Mm-hmm.
um, and sometimes my friend couldn't understand like why two line those like those two angles are like alternate interior angles,
Yeah.
and why are they equal? And
Right.
I explained to them like um, why is it equal, and like that's what I do.
So they were having trouble kind of understanding
Yeah,
why.
because
Ah,
I'm now in geometry, and their geometry has to do with all the proving.
right. Okay. How about this? Let me ask you the opposite question. What's your least favorite subject?
Um, um, well, I'm now in in Christian high school. Um, I do have a hard time on learning Christian, like learning Bible,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really have those kind of classes when I was in China.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a hard time on learning on it. I think that it was really boring
Mm-hmm.
and not really useful.
Okay.
But now I get used to it, and I started to learn about some. Yeah, yeah. So I started to try to learn about it, and something. I feel like something in Bible could be right. Like helping each other, love each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So you mentioned though that you thought that the subject was kind of boring. So
that's
can
right.
you tell me what do you do in a situation where you think a subject or a topic is boring? How do you approach it?
If I find out that a subject is really boring, I sometimes will, ask my friends, how they learn this subject, and I will try to get some idea from them. So I will try to change my mind at this subject.
Yeah, I actually think
Yeah, that's what I do.
that that's probably a good approach to things because I think it's it's important not to dismiss anything outright, but to kind of look at each case on it, in and of itself, and then do your best. So how can I ask you, how
Yeah.
well are you doing? I mean, if your average was 3.8, you must actually be doing, even though you thought it's boring, you must have done well in the class. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was your grade in your religious class for last year? Do you remember?
Um, I actually can't really remember it because it wasn't. Even though it's a main subject in there,
Mm-hmm.
I actually can't remember it. I focus on more like math and English and social study.
Ah, okay. But
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say it was a. I mean, we'll look at your transcripts, but it was
Okay.
probably a good grade, right? If you have a 3.8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really good because I sometimes what I see are students, and I think this is natural, but some students who love math but they don't like science, and they do really well in math but they do bad in science. And I think what's good is that you tried to, even though you thought it was boring or you didn't enjoy it, you still tried to do your best. I think that's very important. Um, well, you know what? Let's forget about school for a moment. And can you
Okay.
tell me something that you like to do in your free time? What do you do for fun?
Um. Well, if I have free time, I will usually do sports like basketball.
Okay.
I will sometimes read some book. I mean, I really like to read those science fiction book.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah, and if I have more time, I will spend a little bit more time on video games. Just trying to
aha.
relax.
I understand that. If I had more free time, I'd spend a lot more of my life playing video games too, actually. But you said that you like science fiction books. Um,
Yeah.
what can you give me an example of a book you've read recently or a story you've read that you enjoy?
Um. And for story, I read a book, and it's called Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, a classic.
It's really not like a science fiction, but it's more like a literature, but it has something to do a little bit with science.
Yeah.
And I also, sometimes I buy some books online,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like just like bio physics, and I just read about it because I kind of interested in how the different things work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do have an interest on studying, science.
Science and science fiction. Well,
Yeah.
you told me that so you read Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
Can you tell me maybe very simply what was the basic story of it and why did that story interest you?
And I find this book. It was like one of my teacher told me about this book,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's about dystopia. And I read about the book. The book is basically about a world where people have lots of high technology stuff, but one thing that people weren't allowed to do is that they are not allowed to write any words down. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, everything was done by picture and graphic.
Okay.
And one of the guy who worked in what they call fire department, which this kind of thing is like the place that they work, they burn books and they trying to catch the people who is trying to write letters or something.
Okay.
So basically, the whole society has no words, no letters, only talk to each other and looking at graphics. And after all, the man who the man realized that the whole society was actually never utopia. It's really dystopia that the government is trying to stop people on using books and stuff. The government is actually taking away people's freedom.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a
So,
oh, go ahead.
so he find a group of people who actually harm them. Yes, yes.
Oh, I was
Hello.
just yeah, I think the last sentence that you said there kind of broke up. So you said he found a group of people and then what happens? We're having a little bit of trouble with the.
How people were actually hiding books.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
Um, give their memory to their next generation. So,
Ah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, and actually I read that book too. What was it about the book that made you so interested?
Because it's one of the things like it's about dystopia.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like And also it has a little bit about science fiction,
Yeah.
like it describes some of the really high technology stuff in the future.
Mm-hmm. You know what
Yeah,
I...
so that's
Uh-huh.
yes.
No, no, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, is someone being... Is there a...
Yeah, someone outside has a dog.
That's okay. No problem. I think the dog wants to be interviewed too. I was just going to say that I like science fiction because it's, I think for me, good science fiction isn't always about technology. I think science fiction is often more about ideas. So when you have technology and the ways that you use it, is the usage of the technology a good idea? Or it's about rules or laws in the future that people talk about today, but what would really happen if these rules or laws came true? So I think Fahrenheit 451 is definitely a classic novel, and I'm pretty impressed that you're reading stuff like that even before high school. That's a great thing. Um, well, let me ask you something. How long have you been in the U.S. now?
I already been here for 1.5 years.
1.5 years. So think about your time in the last year and a half. Can you tell me something that has been a challenge for you to adjust to since you came to the U.S.?
Uh, when I came here, one of the things that really challenged me is my English. I do have a problem to communicate with my friends or my classmates.
Mm-hmm.
But after I study for a while, I feel like my English is improving, and I believe that my English get much better than before.
Yeah,
Like pronunciation, writing, reading.
yeah, I think that you're really right. I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty impressed with your level of English. I think you're doing a great job with the English that you have right now, which is, I mean, it's pretty impressive. Um, has it been tough for you to make friends, or have you been able to kind of adjust to that, and you got a bunch of friends now, or?
Oh yeah, I do have a lot of friends. Yeah, I do get a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are American friends. Like they are really, really friendly.
Mm-hmm.
They really welcome me to join their group and play with them, talk with
Oh,
them.
that's great. That's great. So what are some of the things that you guys like to do together?
Um, we usually play sports together.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of the Americans do. Like especially boys like playing basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and we help each other in different things. I help them math. They help me English,
Mm-hmm.
and we we usually help each other, and we just play with each other.
Okay. Well, John, you've expressed an interest in math and science fiction and things like that. Um, what do you want to study eventually? Do you have any idea what you'd like to study in college or university?
Um, I hope I can study in science major, but I'm not sure which kind of science.
Mm-hmm.
And I yeah, that's one of the major that I want to do.
And so, do you have an idea of what you want to do eventually when you leave school?
I don't really have an idea now, but I might have an idea, you know, in the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think that's kind of normal, and I think to be honest, I think that high school time is a very good time to experiment with different kinds of subjects and interests. And that kind of helps you figure out what you want to do when you go to college. And then to be honest, even after 4 years of college, sometimes people shift what they want to do again. So I think that your approach that you mentioned earlier about trying your best, basically, even at classes like religion that you feel are boring, I think that's a very smart approach because you never know later on what you're going to find yourself interested in.
Oh, okay.
Um, anyway, though, let me ask you then: if you're not really sure what you're going to study at school, Do you have an idea? What do you expect to be doing in 10 years? Any feeling?
Well, in 10 years, you mean after 10 years or during this 10 years?
At 10 years. So if we were going to fast forward to 10 years ahead in your life, what do you think we would find you doing 10 years from now? Will you be married? Will you be single? Will you be running a business? Will you be, what do you think you'll be doing? Will you be back in China or here in the US?
I think after 10 years, I will probably in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I will start to, I won't do any business and I'm probably still single. I want to study more after graduated school, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After you graduate high school, you mean, or college?
I mean, after I graduated from college.
Oh, okay. So you think you want to keep going and maybe go for the master's or PhD or something like that?
Yeah.
Science related, you think?
Probably science, yeah.
Cool. Sounds good to me. Well, in order to get there, in order to get to your PhD level or master's level, what's a personal strength that you have that you think will help you to get there?
I'm actually not sure. I'm probably focused on study, studying much harder than what I ever have.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, because that's the only way. You cannot just like see and think about like say, oh, God help me to become a master or something. You gotta do things by yourself.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like you're kind of an independent guy that just sort of puts his nose to the grindstone and just gives it a try. Okay, then let me ask the opposite question. What is a weakness about you that might hold you back from achieving that dream? What do you think?
Well, I do have some weakness. I don't really think that the weakness that I have will pull me back from my dream, because one of my weaknesses is that I'm really not physically strong than some of the other boys, Even I do play sports, I kind of like a little bit weak.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're saying physically, though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you have any plans? Do you think it would be important to improve that, or do you think you can get through life being kind of not super strong?
Well, I hope I can get stronger, It's always better to get, your body stronger so you can have a better health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, John, thank you very much. We're pretty much done with part 1 of the interview, which is just a question and answer session. Now I'm going to send you a written excerpt from a story. And if you look in the dialog box for Skype, do you see that?
Yes.
So it starts out with Jack London's story called The Wild.
I read this book.
Oh my gosh, then you should be well prepared. Could you do me a favor? Could you read this out loud? Yes. And then read it in your best English voice, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions about it.
Okay, so you want me to read it first?
Yes, please.
Jack London's story called The Wild tells of Buck, a dog stolen from California who is taken to Alaska during the Klondike gold rush in the late 1890s. Buck becomes a sail dog, part of a team that transports supplies and people through the harsh winters. It was inevitable that the clash for leadership should come. Buck wanted it. He wanted it because it was his nature, because he had been crippled by that nameless and incomprehensible pride of the trial and trace, that pride which holds dog in the tail last gasp, which lures them to die joyfully in the harness, and breaks their hearts if they are cut out of the harness. This was the pride of Dave, as wild dog of soulless as he fought with all his strength. The pride that laid hold of them at break of camp, transforming them from sore and sullen brutes into string, eager, and vicious creatures.
Yeah.
The that supported them on all day and dropped them at pitch of camp at night, letting them fall back into gloomy unrest and discontent. This was the pride that bore up spies and made him trash the dogs who plundered and shrieked in the trace or hide away at harness out time in the morning. Likewise, it was this pride that made him fear Buck as a possible lead dog, and this was Buck's pride too.
Yeah, good job. So, you've read this story before, right, John?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can you give me a basic summary of what this story is about?
So this story is about a dog.
Yeah.
And it used to, he used to be like a rich family.
Yeah.
But after that, he gets stolen, and he became like a sale dog, which carried mail to different states. And in the story, the dog Buck started to get stronger and stronger. So he killed one of the lead dog in the cell team.
Yeah.
And then he became the leader.
Yeah.
And after like all the things that happened, I can't really remember,
okay.
But after all the things that happened, he kind of like get away from the male team, and he became a wild dog, and he joined a wolf group, not a dog
right.
group.
Yeah, and you know what? There's some foreshadowing of those events happening in this paragraph right here. Can you look through this paragraph? Can you see some of the foreshadowing of those events that would later happen to Buck? Do you see anything in there?
You mean the thing that changed Buck?
Well, do you know what foreshadowing is? Have you ever heard that term before?
I think I forgot what it is.
Okay, that's all right. It's a term that's used in literature to talk about hints that are made early in a story about where the story is going in the future. So you mentioned that Buck eventually escapes from the team and he runs off to join a pack of wolves. So he follows, basically it's the call of the wild, and that's why the story's named that. Can you see in this paragraph any hints that this is what's going to happen to Buck?
I think from the sentence where it says like it was inevitable that the clash for leadership should come, but wanted it. He wanted it because it was his nature. That's
Yeah, beautiful work, John. That's really true. So they say Buck wanted it. What is it? What does Buck want?
His own freedom, became a wild dog.
Yeah, leadership. That's ultimately what, of course they're talking about leadership to lead the team here, but leadership eventually to lead his own life. That's really true. Well, John, thank you very much for this interview time. I'm going to stop the recording right now. Okay, I think we've got